Café. We're just talking, we're discussing things because this is what we need today. We don't need polished leaders anymore. We don't need polished podcasts or webinars or talks. We just need truth. We need transparency. We need real people. We need leaders to be whole, right? We don't need polished leaders anymore. So today's question.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Wait a minute. Before you get started, no, we're going to talk about this. Why do you think that we don't need polished leaders today?
Because, polished leaders for me fall under the second level that I call superficial leaders. Superficial leaders are the ones who are polished, are the ones who's trying to make it perfect, yet they use the statement like perfection doesn't exist. Yet they do their best to be perfect, right? And we don't need polished leaders because whether we like it or not, we were lied to, if that makes sense.
Well, we're going to go a
So many
whole
lies.
different way. Because we might not even get to our question today, because I want to talk about this, because you believe that every polished leader is superficial.
Yes.
So you're not a polished leader. You have no structure. You don't believe in having structure in your organization. You don't believe in having a disciplined organization or anything like that. You just believe that you should just be winging everything that you do.
I didn't get your question.
Maybe some misunderstanding right there. Yes, I think they were talking about two different things.
I said, so you're telling me, because you're saying that you're not a polished leader, correct?
Yes.
So I'm asking you, so you don't believe that your organization should have structure? You don't believe that your organization should have principles? You don't believe that your organization should have processes or systems in place? Because that's what polished, to me, that's how I see someone who has a polished person or leader, someone who has a polished organization is. It has structure, it has discipline, it has those things. So you don't believe that you and your organization have that or should have that?
They should have it. I think that we are talking from different perspective. Or let me put it this way. You can have a polished organization. You should have a structure. You should have, because boundaries are there. We should have all these things. System is not optional when you have a business, all right? Structure is not optional. But what I mean is polished leaders is something different. Polished leaders, they want to have everything perfect. Like let me give you an example, okay? If we want to talk about this, I'm going to give you an example. Something happened with me almost 2 weeks ago. I was talking to somebody who is in the field of HR. All right? And we're talking about the market. We all know that almost everywhere the market is not perfect. It's not good. There are so many people unemployed. There are talented people who are, dismissed because of favoritism, right? So I was discussing something with this person, and we brought on the table the topic of emotional intelligence. Do you know what this person told me? And this is something that we need to talk about and put it out there to tell people that polished leaders think that emotional intelligence is a theory. He told me blankly, he said emotional intelligence is theory. Because when I am in my position as a leader, as an HR, I need to test the market. When I need to test the market, I have the right to put false employment requiree to see the applicants and see how many CVs there, and collect CVs, collect information, all this kind of stuff. We don't care about the emotion of people. I told them, but you have people who are desperate to find jobs, right? So you're playing with their emotions. He said, we don't care. This is how our system works. This is how we can collect data. And there is a competition out there in collecting data and having enough resources and having enough CVs. You get the point? I don't like. Do you get the point? So
Well,
this
I'm not
person,
quite sure. Mhm.
this
Well,
person,
maybe that person was lacking, of course, like values, also like a real object and in purpose. Obviously, it's not a leader because you must have emotional intelligence. And also, if you are in
exactly,
HR, how are you gonna connect with people? How are you gonna identify, their pains, their talents, their skills, their knowledge, all those things? You must have, as a leader, you need to develop emotional intelligence. It's like personal
exactly.
growth. Yes.
They see it as a theory. Can you imagine that? And this
But that's
person, we're talking about a person who
yeah.
is 20 plus years of experience.
But isn't that just them, and that's not a collective? Because I can
Okay,
tell you of someone else who believes in emotional intelligence. I think the three of us
awesome,
here believe in emotional intelligence, and we're leaders,
awesome,
right?
awesome, awesome. So we're talking about, like, this is the point. I'm not talking about the polished structure. I'm not talking about the organization. I'm talking about polished leaders. If you
Hmm.
have polished leaders, that this is my point. This is number one. Number two, maybe because we come from different culture, and this is the beauty of what we are doing right now, because maybe what we have as an issue in the Arab world, you guys don't have it. Maybe, you see? So it's good that we stopped at this statement, and I'm loving it because seriously today I said that we don't want to go to sound like scripted. So thank you so much, Dr. McKinsey, for
Then
cutting
we would,
cutting the.
then we would be polished, wouldn't we?
Yes, you got me now. You got me now. I hope is it clear? Is it clear? What I
No,
said
yeah, no,
is
I
what I
Yeah.
totally, yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
awesome. Awesome. So, so, so you don't have a problem if I said that we don't need any more polished leaders now.
Well, I still don't agree with that, but you, but that's the great thing about opinion about it. I do think that there has to be a polished that we as leaders must be polished, because if we're going to present ourselves to the overall marketplace, to the industries that we are part of, I've never wanted to be in front of someone and they think that I have no boundaries, I have no structure, I have no discipline in the way that I think and that I act and that I do. I want everything about my brain to be polished, to look presentable.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Two
Yeah,
different
I totally
perspectives.
agree.
Two different perspectives as a leader, because I think both are correct, but everybody's having different meaning about what is college, right? Because
Maybe,
I think
yeah,
that.
exactly, exactly. We have a different definition of it, or maybe also what we are going to ask today in a conversation will clarify why I said that. Maybe this is going to clarify it more because you both looked at the question, right?
Hmm.
So, Dr. McKinsey, what's the question?
Well, the question you posed is how do you um how do you lead from an unhealed wounds, or have you been leading from unhealed wounds? Is there, is there, do
Exactly.
you as a leader have unhealed wounds is the way I see it too. Hmm.
Exactly. This is the question that we are going to discuss today. And believe me, listen, I know what you mean. I know what you're pointing at as a polished leader, but you will understand from which perspective I'm saying this, because I totally understand what I agree with what you just said. Of course, we need to have the values, we need to have the principles, we need to have the boundaries. But the reason of my question is because when we had a meeting last week, maybe, or the week before, when you guys talked about the mental health in leadership, this question came up to my mind, and I listed it within the topics that we need to talk about. How important? Now I'm gonna ask you both, and I want Atala to we gave her rest, so we want Atala to answer this question. How important it is
I think it's fundamental
to
to
yeah,
lead.
go ahead.
I think it's fundamental because many times we're leading from our own pain, pain that they have never been healed, right? It could be signs from control, from anger, from actually even guilty, feeling guilty. How many times you see leaders leading other people from those pain points that actually are activity and are affecting the communication, finding solutions easily and naturally. And I think many times also we are not even conscious about that because we will not be living in those terms. Many times I have seen cases in where the leader is so autocratic that is really always placing fear in their members, right? Sometimes maybe they're closing communication because again, it comes from control. So that's just God being healed as a person, as an individual. So we're talking here about also, again, personal growth, consciousness. No? Also, for example, many times people are so afraid about asking questions. Even if they have great ideas, they don't express themselves because the leader, again, is leading by control. Control is a pain point for many of us, leading in business and life. How many times, I'm going to create an analogy again. I always like to talk about life because it's true. Many times the father is so controlling that the kids are not able to speak out, to express themselves. The same thing happens in business. Many times the staff members, they can have great ideas, but they are not able to speak out. So we need to know what are our pain points here. As a leader, how I am managing people, leading people, how I am leading my thoughts, my emotions. Because many times we ignore those emotions, and those emotions are transferred to the people that is around us. That makes sense?
Total sense. No, the question talks about how you can lead, like how can a leader lead with unhealed wounds. Um, we can look at this question from different perspectives, all right? But the perspective that I'm talking about is what you just mentioned, that the father is leading with control, and what we need to bring to the table and talk about, because it's something avoided in the leadership space. Nobody talks about it. Why do we have people who lead with insecurity? Why we have people leading with with a micromanagement mindset? It's because they have unhealed wounds within them, and they're trying to dismiss the inner work and apply whatever they feel on others. That's why the question came to my mind. Because when I said we don't need polished leaders, is because these polished leaders are trying to cover something within. They're not doing the inner work. That's what I meant. Well, I'm not talking about the structure and organization and everything, because I totally agree with that, and we should have all these things in place. And system is not optional in building a brand or building a business or building an identity. right? So the thing that we need to come out with or from this session is understanding why people lead with a micromanagement mindset or control. It's because they didn't do the inner work. Everything is external. That's the point. That's the question. So I needed to clarify that so we can lead the conversation from this point of view, because we need people to understand that it's very important before leading others. We need to do the inner work. We need to be aware of our pain so we can control ourselves and lead ourselves so we can lead others in a better way. And also, this came up to my mind because of this person who said that emotional intelligence is theory. They don't, I mean, it's crazy. Well, this is it. That's what I wanted to clarify.
Emotional, actually, I will add, like, we need to actually address our emotional guns, if we say that. Emotional healing needs to take place always. We ignore that, but our emotions go with us everywhere. If I'm frustrated from something that happened at home, and if I don't know how to, adjust those emotions, how to release those emotions, breathing, walking, exercising, maybe just by taking hot water, for example, things that I know I can utilize in that specific moment to just release my cortisol levels, that will be wonderful. But unfortunately, companies, they don't give the tools that it will improve your well-being or how to decrease the stress in that specific moment. If you think about it, usually there is a meeting and everybody's so, excited or disappointed, the communication never get across because it takes emotional, not just healing, actually moderation. How do you manage your body? How do you manage your emotions? How do you listen to your emotions, first of all? Identify them. How do you can transform them on that specific moment? These are tools that we should utilize. In that way, people can communicate better and get an agreements easily, naturally, without that friction, without that anger or that resentment, because I'm not agree with you.
Yep. Dr. McKinsey.
Yeah, I think that when you are a leader and you're leading with unhealed wounds, I think those that are in that position in life, they're doing themselves a disservice, and they're also doing those that they lead a disservice. And what they're doing to me, in actuality, is they're bleeding their unhealed wounds onto not only those that they're leading, but also the organization as a whole, because they haven't taken the time to heal themselves or even to get help for themselves and to, like you said, do the inner work to say, hey, you know what? I can't, and I'll put it this way, you can't maximize your productivity if you're working from an unhealed place. And I'm gonna even take it beyond the unhealed. And I've mentioned this to you all before. I was working on a job that I literally hated to go to work to. I hated getting up and going to work there. It wasn't that I was wounded or anything, but I was frustrated because I didn't want to be there. That I guess can be interpreted in some kind of way. Coach, you might be able to help me with that. And identify if it was
I would
something
say
that
yes, frustration.
if it
Frustration is one
was
of the
something,
things, we cannot ignore
yeah.
that.
But here I was being being the head of this store at the time, and I was the one that I hated being there. Can you imagine how can I lead somebody, anybody, and having the mentality and the mindset that I had, and being able to do what it even if I was at able to try and separate how I felt, my emotions from being on the job that I was on, there was no way I was going to be the productive person that I needed to be and wanted to be in that position just because of my mental state. It just wasn't to me. I wasn't going to be able, I was intimidated because I did not want to be there. So can you imagine me trying to lead people and I'm the one that don't want to be there?
But that's
that
super
is.
important. You mentioned something that is crucial. How many times you
Hmm,
see, and I'm so, I mean, I interrupt you because it came to my mind like many times we are so frustrated for something. We don't release that emotion, that feeling. Actually, emotions can come, they can trigger us, but I can always choose my feeling. I can, I
Hmm.
can feel frustrated. I can, my emotion will be like, oh, like I'm so angry, but I can choose to be at peace. I can
hmm.
choose to be, in alignment with myself. I can choose. We can always choose. But it's an inner work that will actually kind of release any blockage that we have in the moment that we stress our body because we are frustrated, because we are angry, because we are not see the point of others. So it's super important that emotions need
Let's
to be addressed.
let's clarify something on this point that you mentioned right now, because again, we're going to emphasize that this talk should be speaking to someone. All right, whoever is going to listen to this episode on a replay or something, we want you to get out from this with the maximum takeaways. All right. So I'm gonna ask you, Atala, how long this inner work takes. Is it done with a day, a month, a year, or what?
I think it's an evolution. I don't think we'll never stop learning and more learning about ourselves. Managing ourselves, our emotion is something that it takes, I will tell you honestly, it takes years. Many times I
Hmm.
have seen people coming with something that happened 15, 20 years ago, and they have cultivated the same emotion. And usually it's lack of forgiveness, frustration, anger. So those emotions, of course we can transform them, but honestly, I think it's a journey. It's really a journey.
Hmm.
I'm still learning. I'm still getting to know more myself, adjusting some things. I mean, getting to know that I can transform emotions that doesn't serve me anymore. So I believe the sooner, the better. I will say that.
And I think too,
Dr.
just to
Mc,
add
yeah.
to that, I think too, even I think I think we have to, and hopefully out of this discussion, that leaders will understand when you do the inner work, you get equipped with the tools that you need in order to be able to one recognize when you obstacles and challenges that you have, because we're going to always have challenges. That's just, you're not going to get rid of it as a leader. You're always going to have challenges, but what experience should teach us and what we should be gaining are the tools we need in order to be able to handle those challenges. How do I handle the challenge now versus, like Atala said, 20 years ago? Because I'm in a better position, or I should be in a better position now than I
Hmm.
was 20 years ago to be able to deal with it, because I've gained knowledge, I've gained experience, I've gained those principles, or I've gained mindset in order to be able to understand what it is that I need to do in order to be able to, as quickly as possible, get to the point where I'm not bleeding on or into those that I'm leading, or the organization that I'm leading or that I'm a part of, and everything like that as a leader.
And I would say something also important. Once that you start leading in that way with your personal growth or inner work, it's beautiful because it's going to be easier to lead others. Again, people will follow you because of your energy, because the way that you have a very positive perspective, because you find solutions easily, your creativity, whatever it is, you start leading from a high level of consciousness. So that's beauty.
Okay. Cool. Dr. McKinsey, I want to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Um, what will happen if somebody is leading through their wounds, leading a team, leading a
Mm.
business through their wounds? What will happen?
I,
What's the cost?
I think one, I think it can cost you a couple different things. It can cost to it can cost from a personal relationship perspective. As a leader, if you're leading from your wounds, you are definitely not going to have the to me, more than likely not have the respect, not have the thinking of those that you're leading. They're not going to be more than likely wanting to, they'll be doing things just job versus this is somebody that I truly respect, truly somebody that I enjoy working with, that I think that qualities that I, that I look for in someone that I'm, that I'm working for, or working with. In returns to that, I think it can cost you in that way, the personal relationship. First and foremost, it'll cost you your health. If you're leading
Hmm.
it's costing you your health because you're stressed out. You probably more than likely aren't getting the rest that you need because you're worried about what it is that you're wounded from. You're
Hmm.
not being attentive to healing versus dealing with the wound. And as I mentioned before, that unhealedness bleeds into the organization, into the environment. There's nothing worse than an unhealthy work environment. So not dealing with your wounds or leading from your wounds creates a unhealthy work environment. And there's not anybody that should have to be in or deal with a unhealthy work environment. I promise you, it is one of the worst things that you could be a part of. And for that very reason, because too many leaders today are leading from their wounds versus leading from a healed place, a healthy place. I'll say a healthy place, leading from a healthy place, and making the relationships that they have or that they supposed to nurture, making that environment conducive to the productivity and ultimately with the bottom line that you have. You're costing yourself the bottom line at that as well too, I
Hmm.
believe. You know.
So let's say what are the common like you are a business consultant. So and
Hmm.
and and you've met many entrepreneurs throughout
Hmm.
your journey, right? So what are the common costs when people lead from their wounds?
Well, I think what the cost those costs come in, you being reactive versus being proactive because you're not focused on what it is that the assignment that you have to do as a leader. So it forces you to kind of once things happen, you kind of wait until things happen versus saying, okay, I see that this could happen in the business, and I'm going to be able to make sure that I have things in place in order to be able to care for those. So you become I think you're reactive because you're not as focused. And when you lack focus, you lack discipline. When you lack discipline, you lack commitment, consistency. And all of those, to me, are residual costs and residual effects of leading from your wounds as a leader.
Awesome. Awesome. The reason why I asked you is because so many people don't understand why these things are happening with them.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
don't know why these things are happening to them. They think that I have a problem. I'm weak at this. I'm my strength point, my weakness, my like
Hmm.
I have a problem that I procrastinate. I have a problem that I do this. And to be honest, I'm gonna be honest and transparent. I faced such things in my early days, trying
Hmm.
to discover myself, uh, knowing what's my area of expertise and all these kinds of. It's a journey of discovery, as Atala said, right? It's an inner work. We need to discover. We need to know, not in the academic way or the ABC way. What's your strength? What's your weakness? And then you go from there. Be real, be true to yourself. You have to understand yourself. And many times we discover our strength and kill our weaknesses through our experiences, through our
Hmm.
challenges. As you mentioned, Dr. McKinsey, that challenges will never be over.
Hmm.
And as I love to say it, I love to say it this way. God nurtures us through challenges, which means challenges is the only, or let's say the ultimate source of our growth, if I
I
can
think
put it
that's
this way.
important because, again, I think we all are in our own journey, and that's something that we must be able to understand. We sometimes we're comparing also ourselves with others. We should never compare ourselves.
Mm.
That's also one of the problems that I see. We need to understand how do we think, how do we feel, how I can transform emotion that no longer serve me. How can I mean, be able to be more connecting with these staff members by knowing how do I need to connect more with myself, with my true identity. Sometimes we're leading for a younger identity, for example, from wounds from the past again, and that identity I'm still applying today. That doesn't serve me anymore. So I need to upgrade my identity. That makes sense based on values, on your belief system, on your mindset, or your all those elements that are there for us, but we need to utilize them. We need to find them. What serves me more that I can use to heal from my past wounds, and at the same time, eh, cultivate my best well-being, or my best, I would say, a healthy mindset to also live from that. That will be a transformation in each one of us. And we all are in a journey, a personal growth journey, I would say, leading ourselves from a higher consciousness.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So that's why we say that leadership is transformation, and we cannot transform from who we are to where we want to be, regardless of the role, or what role we are playing, or what business we're running. Regardless of all this, transformation needs pain. And we're not talking about the pain that they mention in motivation, the sacrifice and all this. It's the pain of discipline. It's the pain of discovery. It's the pain. We need to understand ourselves so we can overcome things and we can lead people from a better place. Like for example, today, me, Atala, Dr. McKinsey, we're talking, right? But each one of us had his own experiences and challenges that taught them how to lead others from where they are today,
And
right?
you know,
We
let
like
me,
we're not. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Atala, but nobody. I believe that no one here from us three talking is leading from buzzwords. We're leading from things that we've been through. We've been, or we experienced, right? We had the pain, and this pain revealed something in us, and that's what we are teaching our surrounding. That's what we are teaching our communities from different culture. So this is what I liked uh, when I thought about this question, because I wanted us to share with others, like to go deep in this and talk about it. Yeah, Atala, go on, go ahead.
yes, what I wanted to say, like at the end of the day, what I have found, like when somebody's in leadership position, it needs to be also like a personal discovery. Because, for example, in some webinar that I have been giving for leaders, we always ended in something personal, nothing to do with the company. The company has their own struggles, but I'm talking about the leader need to address on emotional guns. And it all ended in family, self-confidence, resentment from some family member, from maybe a business
Mm.
partner. But most of the time, the leader position is here, and then little by little, we go back to the basis. We need to heal emotionally, personally. In that way, that leader is gonna become better as a person, as a leader, as a human being, you know. But the bottom line is something personal. If we don't address those issues, we're going to affect also any leadership position.
So from 1 to 10, how important it is to address the personal issues before start leading?
Oh my goodness, I think it's fundamental. I would say 9. I have not seen any leader who doesn't struggle with something personal. I have ever. Some people ignore, some others decide to work through.
Okay, so again, what's the number?
9. I would say 9. It's fundamental.
Dr. McKinsey. Dr. McKinsey.
No, I say I'm going to go even a notch higher. I'm going to say it's a 10. I think because when you don't treat symptoms, those symptoms actually wound up getting bigger and bigger to me, as a leader. So you're letting that wound just it's like having if I had a gash on my arm and I just let it do what it's gonna do. I got this big old gash and I don't treat it. It can get infected. It can impact my body, the way that my body is. So a lot of leaders today are not good at all at dealing with their wounds. So that's why I say 10 is that they're not. You know, we have to get better at that.
But think about something also. When people they don't want, sometimes it's because they are ignoring, or sometimes because they are moving in ego. So that's another thing, you know. That's also
Hmm.
a wound that needs to be healed, right? Maybe
Yeah.
lack of confidence when you grow up. So you need validation, right? You need that acceptance from others. You need to be liked by others. So it just really depends. We need to always go, under the surface.
So what we're talking about today, how can we connect this with character-driven leaders? How is it connected?
Well, I think a character-driven leader is one who doesn't lead with his wounds. A character-driven leader says, "Hey, I recognize that I'm not healed. I'm not leading from a place of wholeness. And if I'm not whole in how I'm leading, then I am being disingenuous or I'm being not um, not holding myself accountable first to those that I'm leading. And leaders we have to hold ourselves accountable first before we can hold anyone else accountable. That's just, to me, that's what I believe that we have to do. So if I'm not dealing with my wounds and I'm leading with my wounds, which means I'm leading with my hurt, then I'm impacting the environment. I'm impacting the workspace. I'm impacting those that I'm leading in a negative way. So we've got to be able to, as leaders, hold ourselves accountable for that and recognize that we're leading with our wounds first.
I'm gonna ask you the question why we need to hold ourselves accountable.
Because we are in charge of leading with principles, with values, with example especially. So it is super important. I always want to go back to the basics, but the more that I see leaders, the more that I open my eyes and say, yes, this person needs to have like a self-reflection about how this person has been living his life, first of all. We're talking about life slash leadership positions in any organization. Most of the times they are really pain points from the past that has been cultivated internally and the person has not been able to identify yet. That's why there are so many leaders, again, that they are implementing fear, control, right, in still to really connection, growth, and confidence, trust, all those things. But that's a start for me, even at home. I see that.
Okay, so how do you think we can, or let me ask the question this way. How can we address this? Because because we don't see it a lot. We don't see it a lot that people talks about this kind of topic. I don't know why. I mean, maybe they feel that it is sensitive. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what's the problem. But how can we address the importance of um, putting this topic on the table in the organization itself, in any business or organization, that this thing must be considered before we put someone in a leadership position. Like, what's the solution?
I think through evaluation, simple evaluations, you can have evaluations easily where you can, talk about, what is your level of stress on a daily basis, your level of energy, what is your level of, even your self-connection, how do you address, of course, when there is stress, but also like, how are you eating? From 0 to 10, are you having some techniques that you use when you feel
So let's
stressed?
say that you're talking to, and I need also your input, Dr. McKinsey, again, in this thing. Let's say that now you're talking to a business owner, or you're talking to a CEO who is in a process of putting leaders, or highlighting on people who should be obtaining a leadership role. What do you tell them about this topic? Like, how important it is, and what can they do to apply this thing in their organization? It's for you, Atala. I'm
Oh,
talking to you.
I would just say like well-being is something that is non negotiable. If you have a leader who feels energized, who has a clear mindset, who feels connected with himself, who has been working in himself also, I think that person has so much to offer to others. But I will actually invite him to do an evaluation: mind, body, spirit. Again, for me, the three are connected, and through just simple questions from 0 to 10, and you can have a clear idea, because that person will have a huge impact in the corporation, but also in sales, in care, in service, whatever it is. So I will address by just inviting them and really see the benefits, taking from not just from the pain points, but what are the benefits in their corporation, in the staff, right? In the sales, for example, in clients, even in families.
Dr. McKinsey, what's your input? Like, if you're talking to a business owner, or you're talking to an entrepreneur who's starting a business, and you want to tell them how important it is to consider, consider evaluating the leader before putting them in a leadership position, to make sure that they're not leading from wounds. How important it is to do this, or to take this step, and what is the process that you're going to tell them to do in order to evaluate the person before putting them in a leadership position.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, and that's what your interviews are for, is the vetting process. And one, I would say you want to ask the right questions. Now, of course, we can, a lot of people can wear the mask. They can put the mask on in an interview and look good. They can look good in an interview. They can look good on paper. But sometimes you won't really find out
Are
who
you are
that
you
person.
are you saying that these people are polished?
Say it again?
Are you
No,
are
I,
you
I think no. There's a difference between being polished and putting on a facade. They're fake people. They can put on the appearance of being polished. But I've always believed that people can only misrepresent themselves for a period of time. And until once that period of time wears off, then you get into who is. Like I said, I can come and interview, and because I've done my homework on you, I can come to the interview and I can give you everything that I know that you're looking for as as an
Mm,
employer.
mm,
I can tell you what you want to hear. I can say the great things. I can even ask you, I can put the ball in your court by asking you, what would your employees say
yes,
about working for you? Ask
yes,
understand
yes,
that just as much as you would be interviewing me, I'm interviewing you. So those questions are going to be important, and making sure that you're vetting them properly, or as much as you can, to be able to discover as much as you can about them, doing
mm,
your due diligence about making sure that this person fits what you deem as the owner of the organization and everything like that. And you want to ask those questions that may deal with their personality, their principles, those things that the resume isn't going to tell you. Resume isn't going to tell you about their personality. Resume isn't going to tell you about the last situation that they handled at their last job that was a challenge to them. Those are the kinds of questions that will reveal whether or not that person may have room. If, this is how you know, if somebody comes in an interview and you're talking with them and all they're talking about is bad things about the last place that they worked at, yeah, more than likely they haven't let them go. They haven't healed
awesome.
from what it was at the last job. So listening, being attentive to what people are saying, the language that they're talking, and everything like that, I think gives you a glimpse into how it could be. So I would suggest that to the business owner, asking the right question, paying attention to their body language. Paying attention to asking the questions about their previous experiences with challenges, those kinds of things will allow you to have a little bit of notion about who it is that you're possibly getting ready to hire and everything.
Awesome. Awesome. This part is very powerful. This part is very powerful because what's going on around here is, as you said, people are doing their homework before they go to the interview. I've seen it. I deal with people who works in HR, and they tell me,
Mhm,
like,
mhm,
they ask me for, like, as all of us do with our clients and everything. They just call you for an advice, or they call you for something. And what I do is, before I give any kind of advice, I talk to them about, how was your day? How was your day?
mhm,
What happened with you today? What happened with you? And then they start talking about the interviews, you know? And they tell me that we had this interview and I asked these questions. And I dive deep into telling them, do you ask these people what is the last book that you have read? Did you
mhm,
ask these people, questions like, who is your ideal leader? Just go deep with it. See how their mind is wired. What do they talk about? Try to ask them questions that sparks them, so you can understand what they are passionate about, what they talk more about, so you can connect with them on a personal level, and only then you can know if this person is fit or not.
mhm,
Personal stories, because as you said, like, if you're going to talk about the company, I can be prepared to give you the best um, the best things about your organization, and how can I add value to you, and I am the perfect person, I am the superhero and everything. But when you go personal, and you watch them, if they crumble, you know that there's something going on. If they
mhm,
know what they're talking about, and they are
mhm,
structured in their mind, and their life is balanced somehow, because no one have a balanced life. um, I believe that some areas in our lives are not balanced, but Like you know what I'm trying to say, right? If they have everything structured and they understand what they're talking about, then yes, this person could be a good fit. So thank you for bringing this topic and highlighting on this issue, because I think that this is going to be beneficial for people who are seriously looking to build something strong, strong base, have a strong base. Like when we talked about having the what do we call it? The brand value system, the culture. This is something really important.
But
The
you see
vetting,
something important too,
review. Yeah, go ahead.
that that's why also the person who is in human resources, which also is a leader, believe it or not, also needs to have that emotional intelligence, because even when a person comes to you and knows exactly about the company, you can right away feel it. Questions, facial expressions, movements, all those things count, and they express many things, many things. So a person who is in those leadership positions needs to be not just educator, not just having all these kind of titles, needs to have that intelligence, emotional intelligence, because in that way you can connect, you can identify some things that they are not really, not just positive or negative, they just are not in alignment with the company, with values, with so easy. So that's what is very important.
You
Emotional
know what?
intelligence.
After
Pension
our
ability. Yes. Go
after
ahead, please.
our conversation today, I'm thinking about we need to highlight on the emotional intelligence, because when what I saw from people
Mm.
talking about emotional intelligence that it is a theory, man, I lost my mind. I was like, if this thing if this thing is a theory, then what we are doing over here? What we're doing over here?
Yeah, and that
I
just
mean,
goes to show too that when you hear people say such outlandish or far, just craziness where they think that it's just a theory, and maybe it's just their lack of exposure. They haven't been exposed to people who have emotional intelligence, because you can't tell me that they had. I mean, that don't encounter some form emotional intelligence every single day, having to deal with it, having to have it some kind of way, and you just think that it's a theory, you know. So yeah.
yeah, I mean, this is really important. This is really important. Well, I think I don't know if do we want to add more to it, or shall we have a part two, because this talk will never end. It's a very important topic that we talk about the wounds, confronting ourselves before leading. So we will. It's not that we will.
I would suggest number
Uh,
two, definitely, because has so many other areas,
we
Leading with
have to.
emotional
Yes.
intelligence also affects our body expression, feeling, creativity, So that's super important because it's again, our mind is connected with our body as well, right? So sometimes we're living
Yes.
with this kind of friction. We're not connecting our posture also, how we're expressing many things. So it has a lot of different other areas that are impacting our soul, our connection, our impact. And again, in business and in life, is the same thing.
Right.
And maybe the part two to this is how to heal from your wounds. Talking about the solutions, do
Yes.
that inner work. What's the inner work that we need to do in order to be able to lead without, lead from a healed position and a whole position versus leading from a wounded position.
I love it. Yes. I think
Yeah,
that would be
Awesome.
very
yeah. So I think
beneficial.
we can,
So,
yeah,
so
so
we
we
are
can make a,
confirming that there will be a part two for this topic. Um, awesome. We are going to have solutions in place. Again, it's a great thing, because again we want to make the character-driven leadership cafe not only a platform. It's a hub. It's a hub that is going to deliver what it promises, which is helping you becoming a character-driven leader. That's what we are aiming for. This is the ultimate goal. We want to have this hub that has everything you need to become a character-driven leader because it's needed. It's needed. The world needs more character-driven leaders, right? So that's why we want you to stick around with us. And as you all saw, if you're watching the replay, focus on the start of this episode. We don't have anything scripted. We just jumped into the conversation. We're sitting in a cafe. We're talking. I mean, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. We're all transparent. We're all
Real
real. We're all
conversations. Yes.
exactly. Exactly. The only thing that we miss, we need to have the coffee or the tea with us, you know? And awesome. I have to keep myself hydrated, so I'm drinking water.
Me too. I just don't take the cup, but it's water as well.
Awesome. So thank you so much for your input, Dr. McKinsey, Atala, always, always, always delivering what you promise. I love the energy. Let's keep it on, and we are promising that there will be more and more to come with solutions, with resources, with whatever is going to help you become a character-driven leader. We want you to share, like, most importantly, like, we want you to share these episodes. You never know who needs to hear this. We have
Yeah.
a lot of things to share. We have a lot of things to share. And can I say a secret? I'm
Of
using
course.
Dr. McKinsey. Yeah, I'm using Dr. McKinsey and Atala for my benefit. I'm asking them questions so I can work on myself too. So
The beauty is like we all are learning and growing at the same time, and I think that's
yeah,
powerful.
I'm just trying to put some humor into it because I don't want to sound
Hey,
serious.
hey, Tyler, he's trying to get some coaching sessions without getting coaching sessions.
Yes,
I'm, I'm,
yes,
I'm
yes.
I'm happy to add value. That's the most important. That's the purpose. It's always a pleasure. Honestly, these conversations are also, part of our healing. We're learning, we're growing together. And I think that's
Awesome.
that's the most important thing. Add value to really people through our real conversations.
Great, great,
Yeah.
great. So, Atala, before we close, what do you want to say?
Just like I believe that everybody can heal emotionally. And when we heal emotionally, we can become the best human beings. That's it.
Dr. McKinsey.
Yeah, I just hope that leaders got something out of this today, and hopefully they understand that it's never a good thing to lead with your wounds, and to do like we've talked about here, doing the inner work first. It all starts there. Once you do that inner work, you're able to deal with everything else that's outside of you that you have to deal with.
Awesome. All right. So this was today's Table Topic Wednesdays, or as Dr. McKinsey loves to say it, the Round Table Wednesdays. Either or, the goal is for you to take something to ponder on. And what I'm going to say is A stands for awareness, and that's what you have to start your journey with awareness and inner work. This is the most important thing you have to do before start leading others. And maybe we will have the time to share personal stories um, when at least myself, I led from wounds in part of my life, in some parts of my life. And of course, Atala, maybe she had the same experience, or Dr. McKinsey had the same experience. So we will be sharing these stories, and it cost a lot. It cost a lot. Anyway, start with awareness, inner work, and you will discover everything you need before you start leading. See you next week. We will be have a guest, hopefully, right, Tala?
Of course, it's ready. Yes.
We will be having a guest in our Table Talk Wednesdays, and so much things are coming, more to come. So all you have to do is to join us in our Facebook group and the subscribe to our channel, the YouTube channel. Also, we have the CDL account on Instagram, so you keep yourself posted and pick whatever suits you in the journey that you are in. We have tips, we have advice, we have insights, we have episodes for the table topic, and very soon we'll be having the intensive character unit podcast, the ICU podcast. So that's it. The ultimate goal is to be the hub that is helping you to lead from character